we bridge your knowledge to success.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Aditya Talks. And today we are honored to have Mr. Sabyasachi Hajara, one of the most influential figures in the Indian maritime industry. As former Chief Executive of Shipping Corporation of India, he led the company to remarkable growth. And Mr. Hazara holds the unique distinction of being only Indian to be featured among the top 100 influential personalities in global shipping. As an alumnus of IIM Kolkata and Norwegian Shipping Academy, his illustrious career spans around 4 decades, and today he's going to share his interesting stories and journey with us. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
I am doing fine. Just to correct you, my career now spans well over 5 decades, not 4 decades. So just a very small correction. I am 72. I am 72. I was not only the youngest ever executive in SCI, but possibly anywhere in the public sector system. I joined SCI at the age of 20 as a very junior executive, of course. And today I'm 72. I am still blessed in the sense that I am still sitting on a couple of boards, APJ Shipping and one of the Adani ports. So obviously, I would say that my career in that sense, though not in an executive role, but at least my association with the maritime industry still continues. So it is now well over 5 decades, not 4 decades.
I couldn't know because you don't look a day over 50. So I thought you were younger, so it's my fault.
You have made my day, Aditya. You have made my day. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's begin. What inspired you to enter into the maritime industry, especially as one of the non-seafaring leaders?
You see, I will not claim that I really researched the maritime industry before I joined it. I would say it was more perchance, but I have to give you the background. I was in Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, which is still, though Calcutta has been renamed Kolkata, but our institute very much remains IIMC, Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. This is the oldest management institute in the country. Of course, we are just about a fortnight older than IIM Ahmedabad. That is the difference. We were both established in 61. We were ahead of Ahmedabad by just about a fortnight or so. But anyway, as I am saying that I was a student of IIMC, and we had a brilliant professor in the HR faculty who told us, which is partially, as I recall today, which is partially true. I won't say it is 100% true. He said that not only your family, but the society and the nation contributes to your higher studies, because in India, all higher studies are subsidized. So the best way to give back is to work for government or at least public sector. But in private sector, you are basically working for a handful of promoters, shareholders.
Yes.
Now, why I am saying this is partially true, because today, as you know very well, many public sector, including that of my company. I mean, I always refer it to as my company, though I never had any share in it. So my company SCI also, they are all listed company with thousands and thousands of private shareholders. And similarly, the private sector companies, many of them have huge stakeholding of the public sector banks, public sector financial institutes. So it's not fully true that if you are working for a private sector, you are only working for a handful of promoters. That also is not fully true. And similarly, when you are working for a public sector, you are not only working for government, which may be the major shareholder, but nevertheless, you have other thousands and thousands of shareholders. But the fact remains that if just a few of us got, if I may use the word, somewhat brainwashed, so we decided to join public sector. And one of the first public sectors which came to the campus for interview was Shipping Corporation of India.
Oh,
Besides, I was based then, and even now I am now based again back in my hometown Kolkata. Then also I was based in Kolkata. I am the only son, though I have a sister, but I am the only son. So my parents wanted me to, stay in Kolkata, and SCI fortunately agreed to provide me the posting in Kolkata. So
mm,
I joined SCI more because it was a public sector, not because it was a shipping company. But having said that, once I joined shipping, I found shipping to be extremely dynamic and very challenging in many ways. So I never felt like leaving SCI, though I may say that I was blessed to have at least, I don't know, four, five, six very, very lucrative offers during my whole career from various private sector and foreign shipping companies. And
yeah,
at any point of time, whatever I was earning, the emoluments, my package, if I had joined any of such companies, if I had accepted their offer, my emolument package would have gone up by three folds, sometimes even five folds. But somehow, while I will never say that money is not important, money is important. But I enjoyed working in SCI, and I knew in India at least, none of the private sector shipping companies have, a pure professional as their chairman or as their MD. At best, you can become a president without any board position. You can become a president even in Great Eastern or other private sector shipping companies. But I felt that as a professional, just like I did want to earn money, I will not say that I didn't want to earn money, but at the same time, I also wanted to really climb up the ladder and
yes,
reach, if possible, reach the, as they say, reach the pinnacle, reach the position of chairman and managing director, which fortunately I could in SCI. And that was not possible in any private sector Indian shipping company. And foreign shipping companies, they have basically agency work in their outfits in India. They
yeah,
are not really involved in their, let's say ship acquisition and many other things. So they are more of, cargo canvassing agent. I'm not demeaning them, but they also have very major roles. But at the same time, that I don't think would have professionally, given me the full satisfaction. So, and since I enjoyed working for SCI, I stayed, as I keep saying, with tongue in cheek, that I worked for a short period of 4 decades, nearly 4 decades in SCI. I joined at the age of 20 and retired at the age of 60. So
so
that is the reason why I chose my career. It was not so much that I wanted to join a shipping firm, but since that was one of the first public sector companies which came to the campus for interviewing us, and I got an offer straight away, I joined them.
yeah. So basically, you stayed at SCI for us. Like any other company couldn't provide the scope of growth that you got there, and staying at your hometown in Calcutta was also one of your wishes. That is understandable.
Not all through, but I stayed for more than 2 decades in Kolkata, and thereafter I went to Mumbai, which was the headquarter. I had to go there. As general manager, I went to Mumbai and then became director, then became chairman, managing director, and all that.
So in the 40 years you started after college, in 40 years, how can you like give us a detail on your journey to becoming MD of Shipping Corporation of India?
You see, I had the opportunity. I would say that it was very nice. I had the opportunity to working in many different divisions. I worked for liner. I mean that is container. First, starting with break bulk, because when I started my journey in '73, containerization didn't even come to India. Containerization in India came towards end of '70s, and SCI, of course, was one of the first companies involved in containerization in India. But anyway, I started my career in liner shipping. Then I also handled bulk, both dry bulk and liquid bulk shipping. And as government decided, I became director HR. Though I did my major in operations research and marketing in IIMC, and I didn't do any majoring in behavioral science or HR. But nevertheless, when the vacancy arose, I was also called for interview, and government, in its own wisdom, the PSCB, Public Sector Enterprise Board, in their wisdom, chose me as the director HR. So I was very happy that it gave me a completely different perspective. After all, I thought before going for the interview, I even went to my predecessor, who was then the chairman, that I don't know whether I would like dealing with the union and association both on the shore as well as on the seafaring side, days in and days out. And I'm not an expert in HR in that sense. I'm not an HR professional. So he said, Mr. Hajra, in SCI, none of your colleagues are really HR experts either. So you are as well or as ill-equipped as any of your other colleagues. So you give, you go and give it your best shot. If you get chosen, fine. If you don't get chosen, don't lose heart because you are still very young. I'm talking when I was 47. He said, if not today, tomorrow, you will definitely become a director on the board. But as you know, in public sector, possibly a little more than private sector, seniority counts. So if you today become a director on the board, you will be slightly better placed when I superannuate in a few years' time. You will be better placed to take my position. So that was how my entire journey spanned. And as I said, I have worked in various different divisions of Shipping Corporation of India. So I got a real good exposure to the shipping industry.
That's great. Being one of the non-seafaring leaders in the industry and overlooking it from SCI, and what kind of unique challenges did you face due to this factor?
I don't think I really faced any great challenge by not being a seafarer. If you look at shipping companies all over the world, many of them are having, management professionals, promoters who are non-seafarers heading the organization. Obviously, for running a shipping company, you need seafarers, ex-seafarers, for basically marine superintendent, technical superintendent, so on and so forth. But they are technocrats. But ultimately, when you reach the position of director or chairman, you are then no more just a technocrat. You are more of a general management person than being a technocrat. So as long as you have passion for that particular organization, that particular profession, I always say that shipping has become in my blood. And I would also say, since you asked me this question, I would also say that shipping is one sector where I have found that the non-seafarers are accepted, by the seafarers very well. I am an honorary fellow of Company of Master Mariners of India. I am an honorary fellow of Institute of Marine Engineers of India. So they have embraced me, absolutely with open arms. And I have been taken as a member of the shipping fraternity. I have been referred for a long time as Captain Hajara, though I am not a Master Mariner. And once I remember one of my bosses, who was my erstwhile boss. Of course, he retired as a director. He didn't become chairman. But I'm saying one of my erstwhile boss in an open forum referred to me as Captain Hajara. So after the meeting, I went to him and told him that, sir, of all the persons, you know me for decades, and you know that I am not a master mariner. So I know that many others refer to me as Captain Hajara, but why are you referring to me as Captain Hajara? So his answer, of course, was very pleasant for me. He said, Hajra, I am not calling you Captain Hajra because you are a master mariner. I am calling you Captain Hajra because you are the captain of the industry. So of course that was a nice thing to hear for me. So I would say that shipping is one actually, if I may quote some of my good friends who were secretary shipping, and they said to us that we have worked in so many different industries, steel, power, textile, before coming to the shipping ministry and becoming the secretary shipping and things like that. So they said in no other industry we have been accepted the way we have been accepted in shipping. And even after we are superannuated, we are always fondly remembered. We are invited for functions. We are requested to contribute in the conferences. So this happens only in shipping and in no other industry.
I think the
So I am
fact
very
is
proud.
you have given your whole life to shipping and the passion that you have for this industry. Even at this age, you're speaking about it gleefully. I think nobody can deny that, and I think you deserve all the respect you get from the industry because you have put
Thank
your
you.
blood,
Thank
sweat,
you
and
very much.
yeah. So in your 5 decades experience of working in this career, what are some of, like, you have achieved many things, obviously, but what are some of the achievements that you're most proud of and you look back on even today?
You see, when I became the chairman and managing director, in the meeting that I held with my very senior colleagues, the first thing I told them that look, every CEO has his own objective, has his own focus on certain things, and there is nothing right or wrong about it. I'm sure many of my predecessors have focused on the top line, the bottom line of the company, and they must have been successful, they must have been very right in their own approach. But my approach is I want SCI to grow. I'm talking of 2005 when I became the chairman and managing director. In those days, the Indian fleet was growing by barely 1%, 1.5%, 2% at best per annum. Whereas our exim trade in those days, today it's not such a rapid growth, but in those days, our exim trade was growing sometime by 20%, 25%. So I said, as a premier national flag carrier, it is our bounden duty to grow. Because every year we find that the share of share of Indian shipping in carriage of India's exim trade is going down and going down fast. Yeah. So I want that as a premier national flag carrier, we must grow. When I took over as the chairman, our SCI fleet was somewhere just little over 4 million deadweight.
I think you
and when I left,
I think you increased the fleet by around 78 ships, right?
No. 78 ships you are referring to was our total fleet. Yeah. But as I'm just giving you the tonnage that when I took over, our fleet was about little over 4 million deadweight tonnage. I'm sure you know what is deadweight tonnage.
I don't have an idea.
Okay, deadweight tonnage is the cargo carrying capacity of a ship in terms of weight, not in terms of volume, in terms of weight. That is, every ship, now I don't want to get into shipping theories. Every ship can be submerged up to its load line because it cannot be submerged beyond that because then it is dangerous. It can, capsize.
Yeah.
So that at that load line, there is a gross weight. The gross weight of the ship. Archimedes principle, all that that. So that gross weight less the light tonnage. I mean the ship's empty tonnage as well as what they call as the ship's stores, ship's crew, the weight of the crew, the constant and all that. If you deduct, then you get the carrying capacity in terms of weight of the ship. That is called deadweight tonnage of the ship. Yeah. So our fleet was having a deadweight tonnage capacity of little over 4 million deadweight when I took over. And when I superannuated December 2012, it was very, very close to 6 million deadweight. So it was not exactly 50%, but it was well over 40% growth that I could achieve in those about 7.5 years was an unprecedented growth for SCI. So I would say if at all, it's not mine, it is the entire the team. I was there at the right time, at the right place with the right team. That's why I could do it. And that's why, instead of saying I could do it, I should say my team could do it, and we could grow the fleet to about 6 million deadweight. And even today, SCI fleet is about 6 million deadweight. In terms of tonnage, it has not grown any further. So I am very proud of that. And when someone from the shipping industry, some ex-colleague or someone comes and says that SCI today is doing well, basically on the strength of those ships that you had acquired in your time, and after that SCI hasn't grown much, it of course gives me a lot of joy. So that is, I would say, the single most achievement I think I can take a lot of pleasure in, a lot of pride in.
I will ask a general question now. Considering most of my audience is youth, can you tell me if you were 21 years old in 2025 this year, what career path would you choose and what outlook you would have on life?
When it comes to career path, today it is always the case that the science and technology, the growth and advancement is always the maximum amongst everything else. And as they say, change is the only constant, and the pace of change is always increasing. So that's why the changes that took place in the last, let's say, century, possibly have overtaken the changes that happened during the preceding millennium. So, basically the pace of change is always, growing and growing very rapidly. So today, if I was still young and I had the energy to really, get into technologies, I would say that I would be choosing a career in, artificial intelligence and robotics and basically in technological sphere, because that is what is the most vital today. That's where the future lies. That's where the future lies. So today, if you ask me, that question, that if I were 20 or 21 years old today, I think I would have chosen a career in IT, basically.
So I also think technology is the future of the country and as well as the world.
The world.
I think
world is.
A person to get the maximum results in life, a person if he is 21, I think technology is the best career to invest your time in, because there's a lot of growth happening in this field, especially right now, because a lot of countries are investing in it, and it's really interesting to see the changes that are happening drastically. So, what aspects of maritime industry do you think need urgent reform, or you think need to be improved on?
No, basically, I would say that compared to aviation, we still are lagging behind in terms of our adapting to the new technologies. So that is something which is very essential. Of course, I'm sure the so-called, completely automated ship is still quite some time away. But nevertheless, there will be more and more digitalization. There will be more and more, automation. So obviously, that is one area where the maritime industry must focus. And the other thing is, of course, along with digitalization, the other very, very important thing today is the decarbonization. Because, the environment is on top of mind of every responsible world citizen. Because, what we have done during the last 1 century or thereabout, since the time of Industrial Revolution, we have completely degenerated the environment of the world. You see, as I am always fond of saying, it's not as if it is something unique. I am saying, many others are saying the same thing, that this planet, our mother planet Earth, it doesn't belong to one generation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't belong only to human beings. It belongs to the entire, living beings here, and it belongs to generations after generations. So
Yeah.
we have a duty. We have a duty towards posterity to ensure that we do not degenerate the environment any further.
Yeah.
Because with the climate change and with everything today, we are facing a tremendously difficult situation. So shipping industry also has its responsibilities. It must reduce its carbon footprint, its greenhouse gas emission. So that is, and the most important thing is the fuel. We are talking of alternate fuels, we are talking of biofuels, we are talking of hydrogen, we are talking of ammonia, we are talking of methanol. So I don't know what will be the ultimate fuel for the shipping going forward. But we must be ready for the change, and we must try to adapt ourselves to such changes.
Yeah. I agree. I think the priority of our priority as of now should be preserving the world for the future generation and making it safe for people to use, because there is a lot of experimentation in climate change and maritech going on to make efficient fuels, as you said, and I think it has an interesting future. So let's see where this goes. Can you tell us how you think India can become a major maritime nation?
Unfortunately, India hasn't done what it should have done over the decades.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the EXIM trade of India vis-a-vis the international seaborne trade all over the world, you will find that other than China, I think there is no other country which, requires the international trade of to the magnitude that we require, because we are fully dependent for our energy requirement on which is the main thing today is the crude oil, and crude oil, more than 85% of our crude oil requirement is met through imports.
Yeah.
Coal, of course, we have a lot of reserves, but at the same time, we do need a lot of import of both thermal and coking coal for the steel making. We require more than 200 million tons per annum of coal to be imported. So crude oil, coal, there are so many other things. I'm just saying that our EXIM trade volume is possibly, this is all, just a ballpark figure. I think it may be as much as 8-9% of the world's seaborne trade.
Yeah.
Indian international trade in terms of weight. Whereas Indian fleet firstly is less than 1% of the world fleet, and Indian bottom carries well below 1% that of the international seaborne trade. So our own EXIM trade, every year our share is declining. In the 80s, Indian bottom used to carry more than 40% of Indian international trade.
Yeah.
That came down to 10%, 12%. Today, I think it is 6% or thereabout. Every year, I don't know what's the amount today, but I think every year, in terms of freight, the outgo for India is somewhere maybe $75 billion every year. And, if this amount at least partially could have been earned by Indian shipping, because what happens? If an Indian shipping company like SCI, Great Eastern, any of these Indian shipping companies, they earn $1 of freight, as per an empirical study done, something like 66, 67 cents out of that $1 gets plowed back into our economy.
Yeah.
Whereas if a foreign shipping company earns the same $1 of freight, not even 10 cents get plowed back into our economy. And shipping has a great multiplier effect. It has a multiplier effect of 2.5, 3, something like that. So obviously you can understand that if at least a chunk of this $75 billion we could retain in the country, what a boost our economy will get.
Yeah. I think boosting our economy and encouraging Indian companies, Indian shipping companies to grow is a fundamental thing that we can do. Can you tell us how how you think your how do you think young professionals like aspiring to enter the maritime sector right now, how do you think they should go about it, and what advice do you have for them to begin their career?
No, no, it's a very broad question because firstly,
Yeah,
I don't know in what capacity he wants to enter. If he wants to enter in seafaring, obviously there are now so many reputed seafaring institutes, maritime training institutes in the country. He should simply go through them and join either the navigational side and become ultimately the captain and thereafter proceed further in shore most likely. But or in the engineering side, again through the the government main institute is the Maritime Engineering and Research Institute. So maybe, and there are so many other engineering private engineering institutes. So he has to again go through them and join. But if he wants to join in as a financial executive, as a finance expert or as a HR expert, then I don't think he has to do anything very much different to join a shipping company if other than what you would have done for joining any industry in a capacity of HR professional or finance professional or thereabout.
I think so, competent matters.
Same is the case with marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing again, of course, you have to market your service just like you have to market it in anywhere in any other industry. So even as a marketing executive, you have to do your MBA and then you have to appear for the shipping company if you want to join a shipping company and join. So I don't think there is fundamentally anything very much different between shipping and other industry in as much as that. Of course, seafaring is a very specialized profession. So there you have to go through the maritime training institutes and join as seafarer.
How do you think Indian companies, Indian shipping companies, can better position themselves in the global market as of now?
See, as I told you, unfortunately, Indian shipping tonnage is not even 1% that of the global tonnage.
Yes.
So you have to grow, and for a country like India, which has so much of exim trade, and we are becoming world's, today as it stands, we are the fifth largest economy. Yeah. But very soon, in a matter of, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, we will surpass Japan, then we will surpass Germany, and we will become definitely the third largest economy in the world by the turn of this decade, I'm sure. I'm very confident of that. So, definitely, a country like India, we should have a far bigger merchant marine fleet. We should definitely, go in for more and more green ships. Definitely, our efforts for decarbonization, our efforts towards digitalization must continue. So that's the only way that I would say that Indian shipping should try to prosper and try to, establish itself in the global market.
Yeah. I think like growing the companies and establishing themselves in the future. I think India is going to grow at an exponential rate, and I think we have just begun. Just like China did in the 90s, China grew exponentially, and I think we have a scope that we can achieve this by the end of this decade, or at least in the next decade. There is a lot of potential and a lot of young people coming from India who are doing very good in the world. So, how do you think your leadership principles helped you successfully lead SCI's significant expansions, and what outlook do you have on leadership as a whole?
You see, whenever anyone asks me about leadership, I always narrate a real life incident which happened in my case, or with me, in the sense that I was invited by Mr. Suresh Prabhu, who was then a cabinet minister, and he was organizing a career fair in Mumbai in Shivaji Park. And for that career fair, I was invited as a resource person to talk about the maritime industry to the youth. And for the final event, for the final function, respected late Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was then the President of India, was invited as the chief guest. So when Abdul Kalam ji delivered his lecture, and thereafter, as per his wish, the organizer said that we will take 3 questions from 3 kids, 3 youngsters, who can directly, raise their question to the Honorable President, and then Honorable President would answer them. So the one question and the answer, of course, which has stayed with me till now, this must be around 2010 or thereabout, I don't remember the year. So one young boy, maybe of 10 years, 12 years, he stood up and he asked the Honorable President that, sir, what do you mean about leadership? What is your take on leadership, and what do you, think of leadership? So Professor Kalam told him that I will give you my real life incident. I was in Atomic Energy Commission, and we were in a satellite project. My boss, I don't remember the date, the name today, but anyway, whosoever it was, my boss was obviously the secretary to the Atomic Energy, the Department of Government of India, and he was the chairman of Atomic Energy Commission, AEC. So under him, the satellite project was carried out, and unfortunately, during the first year, the project failed. The satellite never took off. So I was on leadership, and Dr. Abdul Kalam, as I was saying, he mentioned that his boss, who was in charge of Atomic Energy Commission as the secretary to the government and chairman of that, he was undertaking a satellite project with his team. The satellite never took off. The project failed. So his boss knew that in governmental system, unfortunately, if something like that happens, normally they find a scapegoat, sack him, fire him, things like that happens. So he told his bosses, which are the ministers and others, that whatever has happened, I am fully responsible for it. If any penal action has to be taken, it has to be taken against me, not against any of my team. And next year, when the project was fully successful and the satellite, went to the orbit, satellite was launched and went to the orbit, he mentioned that it has been, a successful project entirely due to my team members. So the entire credit goes to them, not to me at all. So Abdul Kalam said, as a true leader, I only understand a person who has, broad enough shoulders to take all the blames and all the responsibilities. And at the same time, he has a magnanimous heart to pass on all the credit to his team members without retaining anything for himself. So whenever anyone asks me about leadership, I feel that is the standard we should all, as leaders, should all try to emulate.
Yes.
We must remember that nothing we achieve is on our own.
Yes, sir.
It is entirely due to the team. It is entirely due to the team members. So we should be ready to protect our team members against, any blame, anything. And at the same time, we should be magnanimous enough to pass on the entire credit to them. So
Yes.
that's what I understand about leadership.
Yeah, yeah, learning that you cannot do everything alone and have to rely on people and trust each other is something that denotes maturity in a person. And regardless of age, if a person cannot trust and cannot give his heart out to his people, then I don't think he's a mature person. But
Yeah, because after all, a leader also has to be having empathy for his team members.
yeah,
Because we must all realize that we are not leading machines, we are leading human beings.
yes,
So everybody has their own emotion, they have their own families. So we should be empathetic to all our team members.
yes, sir.
Work is very important, but at the same time, work-life balance is also equally important.
Yeah,
We must see how we can help our team members to achieve their desired work-life balance. And above all, we must try to empower our team members so that they can adapt to the new technologies.
Yeah.
Because it's not only
There
the
is an
challenges of
interesting,
today, but
there is an interesting take going around by Narayan Murthy of Infosys and the L&T boss, like a 70 and a 90-hour work week. There's a lot of debate regarding this in the Indian work culture. What is your opinion on this?
so my opinion is simple that under any law, ILO, International Labour Organization, or under any national law, anywhere you cannot mandate a 70, 90 hours working per week. So
Yeah.
there is no question of a mandate. But there are alcoholics. Now, whether it is good or bad, I will not get into that. But there are alcoholics who, out of their own compassion, own passion, not compassion, I'm sorry, out of their own passion, out of their own, compulsion, they work themselves for 70, 90 hours.
Yeah.
That is not at the diktat of their bosses. That is not at the diktat of the organization. So I don't think no leader should say that my team members should work 70 hours, 90 hours, because that cannot be something which is mandated.
Yeah.
If somebody on their own they work, even then there is a debate whether that is good or bad, because a human being has its own have their own limitations. So if you work beyond a certain number of hours, your actually efficiency level
Is going
likely
down.
to come down. Is likely to come down.
Yeah.
So that is why I personally feel that it is not the hour of work which is important, but it is the output and the quality of work which is far more important.
Yeah.
So that's my simple take on that. But having said that, I have great regard for particularly Narayan Murthy. SNS, of course, was on a board where I was also a director of the board in L&T. So SNS also is a very driven person. He has his focus. He is a good leader, definitely. But
Yeah. These are all exceptional and driven leaders who have done very much good in their life and have raised incredible companies, but expecting the same passion out of some of the employees and is kind of unreasonable, because people have other passions, other things that they want to pursue.
Absolutely. Everybody is to his own.
Yeah. So let's do a rapid fire series question type of trivia questions, like just to add a fun element. Are you ready? I'll ask.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
You have to give a short answer, huh? Not okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What's your favorite type of ship?
How? You see, I was the person who was a project leader in SCI's LNG operation, liquefied natural gas. So I have a soft corner for LNG. So the LNG ships are my favorite ships.
Most memorable port visit you have ever done?
I have visited ports in Europe, ports in Singapore, of course, and ports in Asia and many other countries. But of course, my most memorable visit will be the visit in Kolkata port, my own home port, to a ship where the captain and the others were very hospitable. And I remember also occasions when I have visited along with my customers some vessel for a shipboard party. So those are more memorable to me for personal reasons, not for anything else. But they are more of ship visit, but the ship visit has to be in a port because ship cannot be without any port. Ship has to be there in a port only.
Yeah. What is one leadership skill that every teenager should develop?
Empathy for others.
Biggest business decision you've ever made?
Try and acquire as many ships as possible.
Biggest challenge in the shipping industry as of now?
In view of the fiscal regime, where there are so many taxes on the shipping industry in India, whereas most of the other big major shipping countries fleet, they are flying without any taxation on them. So biggest challenge is to keep Indian shipping competitive vis-a-vis their counterparts.
One thing that excites you about the future of shipping?
Shipping itself is exciting because they all talk about sustainability. Now, shipping is far more, environmentally friendly in terms of carbon footprint and greenhouse gas emission. So obviously, shipping itself is helping the world to remain sustainable. So that is, and in future also, shipping will be even more sustainable because shipping industry all over the world is trying really to cut down on their greenhouse gas emission and carbon footprint. So that's what excites me the most.
Your life motto in one sentence?
Not only to remain happy yourself, but to make people around you happy.
What is the best part of being a maritime leader?
Knowing that you are really contributing to your country's economy.
One piece of advice for 16-year-old Aditya, me.
I mean, I find you to be, very passionate in what you are doing. So retain your passion for whatever you do and try to do what you like and try to like what you do.
Dhanyawad, sir. Your favorite, your dream for the Indian shipping industry?
To become one of the major, superpowers in maritime. Because we are maybe 15th, 16th in the world ranking today in terms of tonnage. If we can become at least one in top 5, that will be a tremendous achievement.
That wraps it up. You're very spontaneous. Appreciate your quick answers. Can you tell us what you think should be the work-life balance in the maritime sector?
So I think when it comes to work-life balance, it should be the work-life balance as it is in any other industry. So definitely, you should definitely, be committed to your organization, but at the same time, you must also look after your family and yourself. So definitely, you should have hobbies. Just because you are shipping professional, it doesn't mean that you should spend, other than your sleeping and eating, all the hours available you should spend only for working for shipping. You must have your other passions, other hobbies. That's how you become a full man.
Yeah, I agree. Having other passions and keeping a successful, a sign of a successful life is that you're exploring anything you do and anything you want to do, anything that makes you happy. Because ultimately, we have one shot at life. Apart from career, we want to do many things in life. I want to travel.
Absolutely.
I want to listen to music. So,
fully confident.
I think that should be a main because we should retain our humanity.
Absolutely.
What leadership principles helped you successfully lead SCI's significant expansion?
I think I already mentioned that I always tried to empower my team. I believed in delegation. I believed in empathy. I always, maintained a wonderful relationship with my fellow colleagues, not just as colleagues but also as friends, and that's what helped me to also grow and help them also to grow.
How can India improve its maritime education system?
Firstly, I have tremendous pride in Indian maritime education system.
Yes.
Indian seafarers are considered to second to none in the world. So as it is, our maritime education system is very good. But of course, with the changing technology, you have definitely, the requirement of bringing you update in terms of technology in the maritime education as well. Another thing which I have been saying for a long time is that, India is the birthplace of yoga.
Yeah.
And I feel the maritime education should definitely have yoga as a part of it, because when you are on board a ship as a seafarer, it's very difficult to have access to various, gym equipments and all the, and other sports activities. Whereas yoga is something which doesn't need much of space. You can do it in your own cabin very easily. And yoga is not only very good for your physical health, but
Yes.
it is also excellent for the mental health. So definitely, I think that is another aspect in our maritime training that we should, inculcate. And I think if I understand it correctly, Government of India, along with some other supporting governments, Singapore and others, are trying to even put up a paper in IMO to make yoga at least as a guideline in maritime training, and ultimately in times to come it may become even a mandated requirement under maritime training.
I personally have trained in yoga from one of like the biggest institute, LNIPE, in Asia. So I personally understand the benefits of yoga very well, and I think the current generation, the youth, needs to develop these skills because of COVID, especially. People have been staying at home and everything. People have been losing muscle mass, and people have been dying from heart attacks as well these days. I think yoga is something we need to embrace because the Western culture is embracing yoga as well.
Absolutely.
You were named the Innovator of the Year at Indian Shipping Summit in 2007. What kind of innovations do you think that the shipping industry needs right now?
I personally don't know what was the benchmark for the juries, how I got that particular title. Okay, awards, all my life I have been blessed by God. I have got plenty and plenty of awards and accolades, fortunately, but this innovator word, I don't even know why it was given to me, because I don't think, I'll be very, very frank and honest, I don't think I did something which was not done by anyone else in past. Innovation is something which should be totally new. And I don't know whether I really deserve this particular, title, innovator. But anyway, as far as innovation is concerned, I would say that shipping has been, not doing much of original research.
Yes.
At least shipping companies are not doing it. And
most of them are still very primitive.
I beg your pardon?
Most of them are still very primitive. They are not evolving with.
They don't do research because somehow they feel that whatever innovation is coming in the technology in shipping, they are more for the shipyards and classification societies to really research and then come up with the technical benchmark which is accepted by IMO, for their vessels to ply, and they have to comply with that benchmark. That is what is essential, because if you really go out of your way and have your ships which are far, far above the standards.
Yes.
Now, quality has an inherent element of cost attached to it.
Yeah.
And shipping is so very competitive that for a shipping service, offering something which, in terms of innovation, maybe in terms of greening and other things, which is far superior to what is acceptable level, may become counterproductive, because then you may drive yourself out of the market because of the price. So this is a very big challenge for a shipping company, that you are trying to comply and maybe do slightly more, but not very much more, because then it will be very difficult for you to compete in terms of cost with your other counterparts.
Yeah. I think I agree that this needs to be revolutionized, because cost is a very big problem as of now, and I think in the technology sector as well, currently OpenAI is investing $500 billion in its company, and China made its counterpart DeepSeek, which in $5 million. So a lot of people are now seeing that cost effective management is needed in many of our industries, and I think that is one of the avenues we should focus on.
Absolutely.
As someone who's been on multiple corporate boards, how do you see the relationship between ports, shipping, and logistics evolving?
So, logistics is the mother of everything. In the sense, logistics is supply chain management. It's a door to door. So shipping, port, they're all part of logistics. So obviously they're integral part. So there is no question of, relationship means what? They're part and parcel of logistics. And port and shipping, they're interfacing industries. One cannot obviously survive without the other. There is no meaning to have a port unless ship calls there. And ship cannot operate. Ship cannot be operated without you having ports to call at them.
It's a symbiotic
relationship. Absolutely. So shipping and port, they are completely interfacing industries. So they are absolutely interlinked to each other.
Yes.
So and as you said, you use the right word. Their relationship is symbiotic. Obviously, you cannot think of one without the other.
How has
So I think your time is over. Another last two questions.
Okay. Please advise two people whom you would like to see on this show that you know.
Oh. You are talking of maritime field.
Yeah, any good people that you know can inspire the youth.
No, there are all these people, Azim Premji, Narayan Murthy, Chandrasekhar, all of them can inspire. That way, these are all absolutely top industrialists. I'm not going into the field of religion or other fields. I'm just restricting myself to corporate. So all these absolute top industrialists in the country, as named, in Tata's, let's say, Chandrasekhar is the top man today. My good friend, in a way, TV Narendran, who is the managing director of Tata Steel, he is a wonderful fellow, and I have heard him speaking many times. He's a very good speaker. He can definitely motivate the youth through his speeches. So all of them, and in the maritime, if you talk just of maritime, Rajesh Unni of Synergy is a very well-known name in India. He is someone who can inspire. And there will be so many others. So I don't think, I can name one or two persons because there are so many.
Yeah. So basically, this intention of this question was like you recommend to people for the interview. But we can discuss this after also. Lastly,
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed this show. I did too. I learned a lot, and I think this journey was incredible. Your story was very interesting, and you are very spontaneous for 72-year-old. I know many 72-year-old around my area, and I don't think I see that energy yeah. So
Yeah, I do. By the way, I do yoga every day, 1 hour. So
yeah.
that is one of the secrets of my energy and my passion and my being spontaneous.
So please advise what unique thing you have liked about Aditya Talks and any suggestions which should be incorporated to improve the experience for our viewers.
No, firstly, as I said, I'm talking of the negative aspect now. Firstly, you have to be slightly more professional in the sense that when you invite someone for an interview when originally when you talked you said 30 minutes, and then you yourself mentioned today that it will run into 45 minutes to 1 hour with a 30 minutes free meeting. So that is not something, I was introduced to you by your father. We got connected through LinkedIn, and I am that way. If I may say so, I'm not trying to boast or anything. If I may say so, I'm a very easy person. I think I don't have too much of ego. But otherwise, if you are interviewing really senior people, and you intend to only interview senior people, you have to take care of these small matters. These nuances must be right. That you cannot afford to invite someone for a 1 hour, in your mind, 1 hour question answer session and have a 30 minutes free session.
Yeah.
Because obviously then there will be a disruption which will not be liked. And basically, the other thing which I did express, that you have to do little bit of research into the person. You see, I was chairman for about 7.5 years, and thereafter I have continued to be associated as independent director or as advisor to many organizations. So such person, if you forget about yourself, when you are a young kid, I want to encourage you, you are doing good. But even for, let's say, all the CNN, NTTV, all of them, Eco Times, so many of them I have attended literally hundreds of interviews throughout my career, particularly since from the time I became general manager, director, chairman, and thereafter. So if such a person, you say that you will send a form to be filled up and all those things, it may not be appreciated. Because I have never ever tried to prepare myself for an interview. I feel that whatever questions come, I should simply spontaneously reply to that, whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah.
I am not trying to,
I think you've mistaken the intent of the form. It was not to prepare you, it was to prepare me. I wanted, there were some questions about you, that something that you would like to give to the youth, because I can't get something from your personality on the internet. I have researched and I have made the questions from there. But personally, what you like to contribute, I did not have an idea, so I made a form where this simple question.
But I never ever, of course, during my working days, I used to remain very busy. That could have been one of the reasons. I never wanted to spend time more than what the interview itself would entail.
Yes.
To spend time in trying to prepare or trying to, give answers to something, some form or anything. So that I don't think you should, unless you know someone and you first, broach that whether you would like this or not, then only you send it, then it's okay. But don't do it otherwise.
Thank you, sir, for your candid advice. I think I learned a lot, and thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, most welcome and wish you all the very best, Aditya, going forward.